Dust motes danced in the single shaft of sunlight piercing the gloom of the cabin's entryway. It smelled musty, like forgotten memories and damp earth. I ran a hand over the rough-hewn beams above, feeling the chill of neglect seep into my bones. This ramshackle place, nestled deep in the Blue Ridge Mountains, was mine now, bequeathed to me by a distant relative I barely knew. Aunt Clara, they called her. Found dead in the woods a few months back. Official report claiming a tragic fall. But something about it never sat right. Especially not this basement door. Solid oak, reinforced with iron bands, and padlocked from the inside. I'd found the key, tucked away in an old toolbox amongst rusty wrenches and faded paint cans. It was cold under my touch, like a piece of ice pulled from a glacier's heart. The sight of it, alongside Aunt Clara's final journal entry, had sent a shiver down my spine. No matter what you hear, she'd scribbled in her shaky script, do not open it. That night, the wind howled around the cabin like a banshee, rattling the windows and sighing through the eaves. Rain lashed against the roof, drumming a relentless tattoo that matched the growing unease inside me. Sleep evaded me. I tossed and turned, each creak of the old house sounding like footsteps approaching my bed. Just past midnight, it started. A slow, measured rapping, coming from directly beneath my feet. It wasn't rhythmic, more like someone tapping their knuckles against something hollow. My heart hammered in my chest, a trapped bird desperate for escape. The rapping grew insistent, each tap echoing through the silence of the cabin like a hammer blow against my sanity. I lay frozen, listening, every nerve screaming at me to flee. But fear had become a physical presence, pinning me to the bed. It was coming from directly beneath the floorboards, as if something massive and heavy were shifting in the darkness below. I knew I should call the police, anyone really. But the phone felt miles away, a useless piece of plastic in the face of this primal dread. My mind spun, trying to rationalize it, pipes shifting, rats scurrying, some rogue animal trapped beneath the cabin. But the steady, deliberate nature of the tapping defied any logical explanation. It was too purposeful, too measured. I forced myself up, my legs trembling as I stumbled out of bed and towards the source of the sound. The floorboards creaked under my weight, adding another layer of unease to the oppressive atmosphere. The rapping intensified, a frantic staccato now, as if whatever lay below was trying to claw its way free. I knelt beside the old oak door leading to the basement, placing my ear against the cold wood. A low, guttural groaning emanated from within, vibrating through the floor and into my very bones. It wasn't a sound made by flesh and blood. It sounded ancient, primal, like something long buried stirring in its grave. Panic clawed at my throat, hot and constricting. I couldn't stay here, not with that sound seeping through the floorboards, worming its way into my mind. But leaving felt like surrendering to something unseen, yielding to a force I didn't understand. I backed away from the basement door, hands shaking as I fumbled for the flashlight in my pocket. Its beam cut weakly through the darkness, revealing nothing but dusty cobwebs and shadows stretching like skeletal fingers across the floor. My gaze fell upon Aunt Clara's journal, lying open on the coffee table where I'd left it earlier. Her words seemed to mock me now, a chilling premonition taking on terrifying clarity. No matter what you hear, she had written. But what was it she didn't want me to hear? What did the basement hold that warranted such desperate warning? Driven by a morbid curiosity I couldn't explain, I found myself drawn back to the door. The groaning continued, now punctuated by soft scraping noises like claws against wood. My hand hovered over the padlock, the cold metal biting into my palm. It seemed impossibly heavy as if it held back something vast and hungry. Against all reason, I unhooked the padlock. The rusty chain clinked against the floor, a discordant sound that echoed through the silent cabin like a gunshot. As the heavy door swung inward, a gust of icy air rushed out, carrying with it a scent so ancient and foul it made me gag. The basement stairs descended into impenetrable blackness. My flashlight beam, weak against the oppressive gloom, only served to highlight swirling dust motes and the dampness clinging to the air like a shroud. Each step I took echoed with an unnatural resonance, amplifying the silence that pressed in on me from all sides. A low hum vibrated through the floorboards, growing steadily louder as I descended. It wasn't mechanical, more like a deep, rhythmic pulse, resonating deep within my chest, mimicking the frantic beat of my own heart. The scraping sounds had stopped, replaced by an unnerving quiet that felt heavy and expectant. The air grew colder, biting at exposed skin with a bone-deep chill. My breath fogged in front of me, forming fleeting shapes that vanished instantly into the oppressive darkness. I moved slowly, cautiously, each step feeling weighted with dread. The hum intensified, coalescing into a low, mournful keening that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. My flashlight beam landed on something at the bottom of the stairs. A door, hidden behind cobwebs and shrouded in shadows. It was crafted from rough-hewn wood, warped by time and moisture. An inscription, etched into its surface, caught my eye, faded script, barely discernible in the dim light. "Beware what sleeps below," it read. My hand trembled as I reached for the door handle. Cold, clammy, and slick against my skin, it felt impossibly old, as if touched by some primeval force. The keening intensified, a mournful wail that seemed to seep into my very marrow. My mind screamed at me to run, to flee back up those stairs and lock myself away from this nightmare. But I was frozen, transfixed by an irresistible pull towards the unseen darkness beyond the door. With a creak that echoed through the vast emptiness of the basement, the door swung inward. A rush of icy air blasted out, carrying with it the stench of decay and something else, something ancient, alien, and profoundly unsettling. It felt like stepping into a tomb, or perhaps a womb. The hum pulsed in my ears, vibrating against my teeth, threatening to shatter my sanity. My flashlight beam illuminated a cavernous space beyond the doorway, its walls rough-hewn stone that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The air here was thick and oppressive, charged with an unseen energy that prickled my skin. And then I saw it. A vast, amorphous shape huddled in the center of the chamber, pulsating faintly in the gloom. It resembled a mountain of shadows, constantly shifting and reforming, its edges blurring like smoke caught in a windless night. I couldn't tear my gaze away. The keening reached a fever pitch, resonating within my very bones. It felt like a call, an invitation, a desperate plea from something trapped, something ancient and hungry, yearning for release. As I took a hesitant step forward, the shape pulsed once more, swelling outwards until it filled the entire cavern. And in that moment, I knew. I had not inherited a cabin in the mountains. I had awakened something far older, far more terrifying than any human could have conceived.